What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. During the last part, we saw a huge turn of events. Kakarot almost had a near-death encounter, but instead, he actually found a new ally. He encountered Turles and is now joining his quest to gain power. With Kakarot betraying the Saiyans and Frieza, how's that going to turn out? And is Turles a trustworthy ally? We'll be covering all that and more in this part. For this video, let's hit a like goal of 3,500 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part of the series. Anyways, let's pick it from here. On Earth, the Red Ribbon Army continues growing. They start working on a new project to take over the world, maybe even more. With them not being interrupted at all, they have so much free time to do this. And all the great resources they need. They don't need to worry about some kid coming around destroying everything, which they probably wouldn't have even expected in the first place, but here, that didn't even happen. It's not just that either. The Crane School begins growing more influential, with the members of it still staying part of it, growing stronger as time goes on. But the Red Ribbon Army is the most important. It's getting more power by the day. Although, we're not going to be touching upon them fully in this part. We'll see more of that later on, just keep it in mind. The Red Ribbon Army and the Crane School are still growing. But more importantly, what's happening out in space, especially with Kakarot and the other Saiyans? Well, as for Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz, they wonder if Kakarot will return. They honestly think he's dead, so does Frieza. He gets word that the Ginyu Force was killed, presumably including Kakarot as well. If they died against whatever threat they faced, well, there's no way Kakarot would have lived either. He was weaker than them. And it still is obviously pretty concerning. Not that he cares about losing those fighters, but he's mostly wondering who is strong enough to do that. While he doesn't care about the fighters that he lost, he cares that there could be someone strong out there. Definitely not as strong as him, there's no way. But still, it is worth noting. I mean, the Ginyu Force was particularly strong, especially compared to his forces. And if someone wiped them out that effortlessly, well, the rest of his army is at risk too. The Saiyans are thinking the same thing as well. Of course, they don't care about the Ginyu Force, and honestly, they're not too attached to Kakarot, but they still wonder who would have been strong enough to kill him, and it doesn't come as a big surprise. Luckily, they're gonna get an answer pretty soon because Frieza decides to send them out to find out whoever did this. Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa are paired up with Zarbon and Dodoria. They're pretty strong and they could probably come and figure this out. Frieza wants them to find out where this all went down, and scope it out to try and figure out what's going on. It's basically a suicide mission because again, if the Ginyu Force died, these people will die too. But for now, they're mostly gathering intel, and it's not likely they'll counter any threat. Well, maybe. This group heads out, going to the planet where there was last contact with the Ginyu Force. And once they arrive, they immediately find something very strange. On the planet, there's a giant tree. The planet just seems dead. Like, it's one thing for them to stumble across a planet with no inhabitants, but this planet looks like all the energy has been drained from it somehow. If that's even possible. It's basically a rock floating out in space with a tree on it. And that tree's actually dying too. Obviously, it's no normal tree either, it's massive. It can be seen from space, even going through the atmosphere. This is unnatural. And they relay the information back to Frieza. What the hell is this? And is it a clue as to how the Ginyu Force died? While the Frieza Force tries to figure out what's been going on, Kakarot and Turles continue going around space, being very environmentally friendly and planting trees everywhere. Of course, some of the planets don't bear very good fruits. A lot of the planets they find are small and barren without much life on them. Although, any fruit is fruit. Also, Turles is kind of bummed because now he has to split the fruit with Kakarot, so whenever a tree only has one of them, they're gonna have to cut it in half, but it's fine. He expected this, and the two of them are growing very powerful, especially Kakarot. Turles sees that he has a lot of catching up to do, but tells Kakarot not to worry. Soon enough, they'll be dominating the universe together. And this is all very surprising to Kakarot. This planet's actually working. He's eaten a few fruits so far, and he already feels noticeably stronger. Of course, some have less of an effect than others. But at points, they probably would find pretty big planets with a lot of energy. A lot of life for the Tree of Might to drain from it. And Kakarot's really enjoying this too. This is what he was meant for. Not only is he growing stronger, but he's growing around conquering planets. He's actually really glad that he joined Turles. He's having a lot of fun with this. And the two of them are probably going to even spar from time to time, just to test out each of their powers. Which is more training, which means they're even going to grow stronger beyond that. The Crusher duo is flourishing. Even though Turles no longer has this Crusher core, it doesn't matter. Him and Kakarot is more than enough. Kakarot's more effective than all of them combined. He's surprised he didn't think of this in the first place. Well, of course he didn't know of Kakarot's existence. But he suspected that other Saiyans would be out there somewhere, and he's glad he recruited him. Especially with the fact that Kakarot is a low-class warrior. He knows the plight that Turles had. And if they do encounter those elite Saiyans, and Raditz I guess, they'll definitely be able to overcome them if the Saiyans try to revolt. And that does stick in Kakarot's mind. He wonders what's going to happen when they encounter the Saiyans again, because there's no way the Frieza Force isn't going to inspect this. They will be found eventually, and they will have to meet the Saiyans. Turles seems set on killing them. And even if they could join, it wouldn't really be ideal because they have to split so many fruits amongst themselves. and Turles definitely wouldn't want to trust Vegeta or Nappa. They're already elite warriors that have looked down on the low-class warriors for so long. Maybe Raditz could join, but that would be tricky. He probably is loyal to the other two, possibly even jealous of Kakarot. As Frieza's group continues inspecting things, they're able to find more planets with trees on them, which leads down a direct path. They can figure out where Turles and Kakarot were heading. Obviously, they don't know that's where Turles and Kakarot were heading, or that it was even them. All they know is that they're tracking down some villain that keeps planting trees and destroying planets. Some of them are even Frieza's planets, which really pisses him off. But as they continue going down this path, eventually they catch up to the two of them. They locate another ship in space landing on a planet nearby. A pretty large one that's also owned by Frieza's army. Turles notes that there's a ship following them, and Kakarot can immediately tell that must be the Saiyans. But he also senses two other powers on the ship. Maybe it's Zarbon and Dodoria, that's his theory at least. But he tells Turles to get ready for this to get ugly. If it's not just the Saiyans, well, they're here to kill him. And Turles says it's fine, they won't be able to kill him. They land on the planet, and immediately after, Zarbon and Dodoria's ship lands as well. They step off the ship, on guard, and commanding whoever is on that other ship to step off too. They say this is an order, and they will fire upon the ship if they don't step out. Very calmly, someone steps off. Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz's stomachs drop. It's another Saiyan, and he looks exactly like Kakarot, but they can tell it's not Kakarot. Zarbon and Dodoria are amused by this. It was another Saiyan? Was he the one responsible for killing the Ginyu Force? And Turles smiles. Yeah, that was him. This does piss Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz off too, because he ended up killing Kakarot as well. Vegeta shouts, "What scum? He betrayed the Saiyans as well. It's one thing to kill the Ginyu Force, but why would he turn on another Saiyan?" And Turles chuckles. He didn't. Another person steps off the ship, leaving everyone speechless. It's Kakarot. He's alive, and why is he with this other Saiyan? Zarbon and Dodoria are pissed off. Kakarot betrayed them. He definitely wasn't kidnapped by Turles. That could have been a possibility, but there's no way that happened. He joined willingly. That's what they're seeing. So he assisted in the death of the Ginyu Force. Zarbon and Dodoria don't hesitate. They know these two are the enemies, so Zarbon immediately transforms and Dodoria powers up too. Zarbon rushes in, with Turles simply piercing a hand through his chest. Kakarot sweeps his arm to the side, cutting Dodoria's head clean off. Whoa, they knew they were strong, but they didn't intend to kill these two right away. Turles says it's kind of a shame. He didn't want a fight to go down, but there's still the Saiyans here. And Turles turns to Kakarot. What are they supposed to do now? Kakarot can tell this is a test of his loyalty. He knows he has two options here. Either kill the Saiyans like Turles wanted, or join the Saiyans and turn against Turles. But Turles knows deep down, Kakarot wants to revolt against the Saiyans. Kakarot isn't like them, he's like him. Not just in looks, but everything. And he shares the same sentiment. Vegeta and Nappa are elite scum. Even though Kakarot probably didn't experience it in his life, he knows about the history of how the elite Saiyans look down on the low-class warriors, and he's seen it with Raditz too. And even though it wasn't huge, he did kind of feel that way himself. He knew Vegeta and Nappa viewed him as lesser. And Kakarot does hesitate for a moment, but before he could even do anything, Vegeta shouts out at him, immediately assuming the worst. He curses it all, saying they never should have taken Kakarot in. He's another low-class scum. They don't need him. If he would betray them this easily, why should they trust him? Vegeta can already tell Kakarot's made his mind up. The fact that they joined Turles in the first place. Turles wouldn't have kept Kakarot around if he knew he wouldn't be loyal. That's evidence enough for Vegeta. Kakarot is turning against them. It's not just the Frieza Force, it's them too. He's low-class scum that's been holding them back. They shouldn't have taken him in. And this reveals to Kakarot everything that he needed to know. Kakarot was a bit hesitant, but this confirms it. This shows everything he needs. And Turles is elated to hear this outburst from Vegeta. He's grinning throughout the entire speech, and he can sense Kakarot's power rising. He's getting angry. He puts a hand on Kakarot's shoulder. He could tell, Kakarot's mad. And he mentions, he knows Kakarot wants to do this. He knows he's contemplating it. He has been this whole time. That's why he joined Turles in the first place. Why not make it happen? And Kakarot nods. This is what he needed. It confirms what side he's on. Kakarot disappears from everyone's sight. And then, Raditz and Vegeta hear Nappa scream. They turn over. Kakarot moves so quickly. And they can see his fist making contact with Nappa's gut. A direct and powerful hit. Once again moving quickly, Kakarot maneuvers around Nappa, then kicking him in the back of the head, knocking him clean into the ground. He places his two hands together, charging a very similar attack to one of Turles's. And Turles chuckles, a kill driver, very impressive. As the fiery attack charges, Kakarot looks down menacingly at Nappa, launching it with no remorse as Nappa's completely wiped out. Vegeta is obviously distracted by this, but then Turles tries to fight him, fighting very casually and using very little of his power. There's no way this is happening. Turles can't be this strong, he's a low-class Saiyan. But he is, and Turles is really enjoying this, seeing that look on Vegeta's face. that frustration, that fear. This is what Turles would live for. Who cares if Vegeta's an elite Saiyan? Born to be the prince or whatever. That doesn't matter. He's the prince of nothing. And his title is meaningless. But Kakarot steps in. He tells Turles to let him handle this. And Turles is surprised to hear this, but yeah, he obliges. This is actually better. It'll only confirm that Kakarot wants to kill Vegeta. And it'll be another good test of his loyalty. Although, he's a bit bummed that Kakarot's having all the fun, but he sits aside and watches. Vegeta angrily looks at Kakarot, taunting him. Do it already. He knows he wants to. The two run in towards each other, clashing, creating a powerful shockwave. The entire time, Raditz is watching all this, not sure what to think. The two begin fighting, and Kakarot's surprised. He doesn't need that much power for this. He fights somewhat casually, not as casually as Turles, but he's not using all of his power. Hell, he's not even using half of it. And it's just making Vegeta angrier and angrier. How is this possible? It has to have something to do with those trees. Why are they going around planting them? Of course, Kakarot's not going to say anything, but he continues fighting Vegeta. And Vegeta taunts him even more. What a weakling. He had to use that to grow stronger. Not to mention, he has no clue why Turles trusts Kakarot. First, he left the Crane School on Earth, and now he leaves the Saiyans here. Kakarot has a record of betraying people. But Kakarot retorts, Vegeta didn't trust him regardless. He could have either stayed with the Saiyans and been oppressed by them, or he could join Turles, unlock his full potential, go around the universe getting stronger, have an ally whom he can depend on. Vegeta jumps up in the air, charging a Gallic gun. He tells Kakarot, if this is what he wants, then so be it, but this will also be his death. He fires the beam at Kakarot, with Kakarot calmly looking up towards it, then pointing a finger. Quietly, he says the Danpa, launching a beam that pierces right through Vegeta's Gallic gun. Without effort, it cuts right through the attack, then hitting Vegeta head-on, piercing through him as well. Vegeta falls down from the sky, hitting the ground lifeless. And Turles smiles. Good on Kakarot for doing that. But there's still one more Saiyan left. He's glad to see Kakarot's resolve, but how far will that really go? Now Kakarot has to kill Raditz. But he's gone. Raditz left somewhere. He must have escaped. What a coward. Turles says they'll find him eventually and kill him next. And Kakarot agrees, but he's actually not too sure. It's not because Raditz is his brother. I mean, that is part of the reason, but that's not why Kakarot is hesitant about this. It's mainly the fact that Turles wanted to revolt against the elite Saiyans. Raditz isn't that. He's another low-class warrior. He was also the one that took Kakarot in. He shared their same plight. It was kind of a stroke of luck that he escaped. This gives Kakarot more time to think. Vegeta and Appa, they had to go, but Raditz? He's not sure. Although, if Raditz is gone, Raditz will probably try to attack them too. Seeing how they turn against the Saiyans, if Raditz ever encounters them again, he'll probably want to fight. Kakarot can't know for sure though, but this sticks in the back of his mind, and Turles knows this will affect Kakarot. They'll deal with it later on. And honestly, he doesn't care too much about this. He can see why Kakarot would have second thoughts about Raditz anyways, but he reminds Kakarot, Raditz stands for the same thing that Vegeta and Nappa stood for, even if he is a low-class warrior. Just consider that for their next meeting. This all makes Kakarot uneasy, but more importantly, now they need to fight Frieza. Well, not immediately, but Turles says that's their next option. He grabs a fruit from the Tree of Might that he just planted, and tells Kakarot to prepare. Frieza definitely will retaliate soon. He tosses part of the fruit to Kakarot, who takes a bite out of it. He feels the power coursing through him once again, just as he felt many times before. But this time it's different. They have a new goal now. And Kakarot just did something huge. How will the encounter with Frieza go though? We'll be saving that for the next part. This is where we leave off for now. So what do you guys think about this video, and what's going to happen next? Leave any thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check them out and see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and let's try hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so we can get another part of this story. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe as well and hit that bell icon so you're notified about any new uploads on my channel, including more parts of the series or anything else like it. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.